Okay, so let me show you how to create the white room effect that the assignment talks about. In this case, I do not care if it's a white or a gray room. Both are used in the industry as standards. The purpose of the white room is to create a setting or an environment for the character so that it doesn't look like it's floating on the air. When we see characters that are floating on the air, you know, that you don't see a floor plane or that you see the edges of the floor plane that looks like a platform in mid-air with nothing on the background. That practice starts looking a little bit more like a beginner's practice. So what you want to do is go into more line up to the industry standards so that you show this as the professionals doing the industry. So for that, let's start with setting a few things that we need to do, and that way you can know how to do which parts you have to change for the assignments. If you already have your character on a setting, some of you went a little bit and created a simple environment. Don't worry about this part for that specific project where you created an environment. Just do it for the ones that don't have anything around it, okay? The first thing I'm going to do is render. So I'm going to go render current frame, and if you notice the character is there floating, you know, it obviously hasn't been worked out. This is the initial rig that doesn't have anything yet, but in your case you will have your animation already created. So let's make a few changes. We're going to add first of all a floor plane. So I'm going to add a plane as a polygon, and I'm going to scale it. And why am I scaling it? Because I don't want it to look like it's a plane that is in mid-air floating. I want it to extend beyond what the camera is seeing at this point. Okay, excellent. Let's render. Let's see how that looks. There might be some changes we need to do. Nope, there we go. It works. The next thing I want to do is I want to make it white. Make the background white and the floor white. So I'm going to go view, select camera, and on background color here in the environment section, I'm going to click on that black swatch and I'm going to turn it to pure white, and I'm going to go back render, see how it looks. So it looks now that it's pure white. You don't have to use pure white. I would say, you know, white or gray, you know, a light gray will work out okay. The idea of having the character against a lighter background is to create more contrast. You notice how there's a shade that is implied on the character's arm. Even when there's no light, there's a little bit of contrast that is created against the background. If the background is pure black, then what's going to happen is going to blend. You know, this part is pretty much going to disappear, that edge into the background, and we don't really see where the character ends. It is done in the industry to place a backlight, you know, behind the character. So if you want to go with a darker background, you can do it, but remember you need to have a main light, a fill light, maybe a couple fill lights, and a backlight from behind the character to create kind of like a silhouette effect and highlight the backside of the character, so that it doesn't blend that much with the environment if it's pure black. Okay, excellent. So a few more things we need to do. The floor plane, if you want to make it a little bit lighter color, you can go on the hyper shade and create a new material for it. So let's create maybe a blend, and let me minimize this window a little bit, and my blend went away. There it is. There you go. So I'm gonna middle click, drag it to our floor plane, and for the color I'm gonna make it pure white. Okay, for that specific floor. Let's take a look at what happens. Let's go render current frame. If you notice it's a little bit gray, what you can do in that case is change the ambient color, make it a little bit lighter. So instead of pure black, make it a gray color, and come back to the render and see. You see it lightens up a little bit. Depends on the effect you want to create. You want to create a seamless white. background environment, you can make it completely white. And what's going to happen is we're not going to see the difference between the floor and the back. You see that right now it looks like it's floating on the environment, yes, but in this case it's white. However, once we add the lights, you're going to start seeing lights on the background. So let's start adding lights next to add that part. Let's go to the create menu, lights, and we can use a simple directional light. Okay, so I'm going to place it. It's right here. It's very tiny. When we import the character, it comes very big into the scene, so then the lights also get affected. Let's see what happens if we have it right in front of the character. Should be okay. Let's see how the character's looking. Okay, it's okay over there. Let's add some shadows so that we can see the nice effect you get with the seamless background over there. Let's turn on the depth matte shadows and let's go back to render. Okay, we are not seeing the shadows, so let's see what happens. Make sure the character is in front of it. Oh, come on, there you go. Yeah, the light is in front. Let's turn it a little bit, angle it a little bit so that it looks like it's coming from the top, and probably, yeah, it is casting shadow. The ambient light on the floor is probably not allowing us to do that. So let's go back to the hyper shade and let's get that ambient color just a tiny bit lower, and let's see if that helps. Okay, let's yes, you start seeing the shadows over here on the floor as we lower a little bit that white from the ambient light. So continue lowering it. You know, you don't have to have a seamless background. I just wanted to show you how to do that. You see, now we start seeing more of the background shadows. So let me lower it a little bit more, and there you go. I think the head gets cut off, and part of that is because of the direction of the light. Remember that in the lights, the direction of the lights, you know, how you rotate it, it determines the time of day. You know, remember that simulates light from, you know, from a really far away source. The shadow seems to be a little bit cropped off, so let me try raise trace shadow, see if that improves a little bit more. No, that makes it even worse. So let's go back to depth matte and let's increase this a little bit, not too much. Let's use that 1038. It gets a little bit better, but now the character seems to be in shade, so be careful with that too. Okay, so continue tweaking the light, you know, until you get a nice effect that you like. That is a little better. Let me continue tweaking a little bit more the ambient color on this one, because I think that is affecting the way we're reading the environment and you know, the looks of it. We're having still some issues there. Let's change. Let's see if not on the material, on the light. Let me see on the light. Let's see, there's a few settings you can. Oh, the shadow color. Make sure that it's not pure black. You know, if the shadow is completely dark, in this case because of the ambient, where is the render? It's because of the ambient light that we are using so high. You're gonna notice that the shadow tends to, you know, take over for attention. So you can always come here in the shadow color and decrease the shadow, and let's see what happens. You see that it's not as dark as it was before, and you can lighten that as much as you want, but you don't want the shadow to disappear entirely. Let's see, depth map shadows. Yeah, the shadows are getting cut off there, so give me just 1 second to make sure that I find the right setting that is causing that, rather than keeping you here. Yeah, it was the first setting I tried, of course. Notice how the shadows get a little bit cut off over here. You notice that they're kind of disconnected, so just increase a little bit more the size of the shadow map. You see it's getting better. Now we have more connection over there. Be careful with putting the shadow map way too high, because it might cause computer crashing. So make sure that you save your file before, okay? So that way you don't lose your file. And that's pretty much it. That's how you create a Whiteroom effect. You can always, if your character keeps moving, sideways or so, and the shadow gets cut off because there's no more floor plane to cast it on, make sure that you make that floor plane really big. That way the character is always surrounded by the floor, okay? And we do not want to see the edges. Remember what I said, this is beginners practice that we want to get rid of. We want to go more towards standard industry practices. So you don't want to show where the edge of the room finishes, or the so-called white room, unless it's completely intentional, right? Another way you can do it is putting a plane on the back, but I don't think we need a plane if we're doing it all the same color. So have fun, and I'll look forward to seeing your animations then with the Whiteroom effect.